What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNV Drivers Edition, and today I got another hot topic for you. So I feel like I had to come out and tell you guys what's going on to keep you locked in, because I got to get you all caught up so you can truly understand my frustrations. But I'm not even gonna say frustrations. I want you to understand what's going on behind the channel so I can get your opinion, your lock-in, and so forth, and we can talk about where we headed next. So part 2, time to dive into it. So, what's up, y'all? Let's dive back into this conversation. Saw the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and that put me down this path of looking at performance SUVs. So what happened next, I was not expecting. I started looking for an Audi RSQ8, a BMW X5M, or a Mercedes GLE AMG 63S coupe. And when I started going down these paths, I'm not going to lie to you, the RSQ8 is probably the fastest car of the ones I just listed, and I really like it. But at the same point in time, I really couldn't find one that embraced that whole ICNV driver edition I would say persona, or that fit me. Let's just say that. So I did go out and test drive one. The car is miraculously fast. I'm not gonna lie to you. But as I was sitting there looking at it in person, it also started to look very plain to me. And I felt like I was gonna have to spend a lot of money to dress this thing up to make it work. And I didn't want to spend that type of money on my car, because this is supposed to be about cost savings to get from one point or one plan to another, which ultimately is to get out of Zeus, get an SUV to keep around, and graduate into another supercar. So then I started to look more into the BMW X5M. If you've seen any videos I shot in the past, I told you I want to own one. That is possibly my goal, besides like maybe a DBX7, the Aston Martin truck, but them things to me are more scary than a Range Rover. So, and plus I'm not in that price range right now. Someday, just not today. So I started looking at X5M. Now I'm not gonna lie to you, my man Swole already got an X5M, but his venture into an X5M gave me educational knowledge. And there are some quirks and features in my man Doug DeMiro's voice that I was not aware of. And as he went down these things of what to look for with X5M and not to look for the X5M, and I started to spiral down those videos on YouTube, see the problems with the car. And I talked to my man AB, you know, because he's a M-Series guru. He loves to get his hands dirty. Ultimately, I'm not going to say they scared me out of the truck, but what I start to see with all the information on the X5M is that it has a little bit more drama that I want to deal with in a secondary vehicle that's supposed to be fun, something to play with now, and not supposed to be a real costly project. So I found my way back to the Mercedes AMG GLE 63S coupe. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I found one that I knew was it. This car had a Rentec performance upgrade up under the engine and exhaust system. It had a body kit on it. The interior had been customized. It had a diamond stitched two-tone interior that you see in the upgraded Lamborghini Huracans. And I was hooked. The sad part was it was about $18,000 more than I wanted to spend on my budget. So I had to go see it in person. So I went to go see it in person. They told me they had sent it to Mercedes. It was out getting repaired or some servicing done to come back. When they called me to come back and look at it, I was out of town for work, so I couldn't go look at it. But this car was everything I thought I wanted and needed. When I finally got back home, reached out to them and tried to go see the vehicle, they told me they already had a deposit on it and it's possibly going to be sold. And unfortunately, this thing sold within a few weeks. I was kind of hurt and depressed. I spent 3 weeks trying to find another GLE that would make me feel like owning a Mercedes AMG GLE 63S Coupe was my future investment goal. And I will be 100% honest with you, there wasn't one. So I was kind of heartbroken because I thought I had found that vehicle. And I spent maybe the first half of November feeling like there was nothing else out there I can find that would even perk my interest the same way or make me want to own a car. And then what ended up happening is I went back to the luxury side of the equation. Like, look, let's focus on luxury again. And heading down that road, I found a couple Range Rovers. I found the one I should have bought, which is this white one. Waited 2 or 3 weeks, come back to the dealership. We started talking about it. They dropped the price some. And when I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make the deal, somebody put a deposit on the truck. Ultimately, the truck sold, and I was heartbroken. That Range Rover sold. I went through a whole process of starting looking for other Range Rovers. So what happens in the midst of all this is I stumbled across a Range Rover autobiography by accident. And I say by accident. So as I go down this path with the Range Rover autobiography, it has an amazing sound system. So now I'm like, I gotta have this sound system. So I started to do a little bit more research, and I discovered that the Range Rover autobiography comes with a 29 speaker sound system. After hearing the 29 speaker sound system, the 19 speaker sound system sounds like child's play, and the bass 13 speaker system that comes with the Range Rover, you have to laugh and say, what is this? So now I find myself looking at autobiographies. Let's take a quick break, and do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, help me reach my goal of 2,500 subscribers. We're chasing the movement, be part of it, join the channel, especially if you like the content you've seen so far. We have more stuff like this coming your way, and you too can help guide the focus of the content that comes your way. So subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. So I started back looking at Range Rover autobiographies, and I found a couple autobiographies I really liked. So I decided to go start looking at those. Now here's the part that people don't understand. I gotta share this with you. I consider myself a very educated, smart car buyer and car shopper. Yes, sometimes I may put myself in situations I would tell you never to do, like, hey, I bought a car for over MSRP. I bought it what I felt was in a safe range, which it was. I should have unloaded it at a certain time, but because I was having so much fun with it, and really I couldn't find anything to replace it with because I was so stuck on what I had, that I didn't unload it when I should have. Because if I'd unloaded it when I should have, it would have been a complete wash, and this would even be a real situation. So now that I'm back over here on Range Rover autobiographies, I take a trip to a dealership that is like 112 miles away from my house. When I get to this dealership to look at this Range Rover autobiography, guess what? The truck is completely jacked. We start the truck up, all type of warning lights are on. Now mind you, I called them, even worked out a sight unseen appraisal value for my trade. And originally they were saying, hey, you can ship the car to me, meaning ship them Zeus, and then they'll ship the Range Rover back to me, right? This has always been my fear with buying a car sight unseen. And I know many of you have these strange, the same feelings. So I said, nah, I'll just drive because you're not that far away. So I hop in the car and drive down there. I get down there, we turn on the Range Rover. There are all type of lights on the car. I open the back door, the seat is offline. If you don't know, the autobiography has reclining back seats. The back seat is all messed up. The power armrest isn't working. It's so many issues with this car. And now I'm in person, so I'm like, okay, what's going on with the car? I see it's leaking antifreeze. The salesman I was talking to doesn't even want to work with me. He pawns me off into another guy. So now I'm kind of giving this other guy the third degree, like, how could you guys as a dealer hold your face and make this type of arrangements with me knowing the car is jacked up? We talked to the used car manager, and honestly, I put one of my friends on the phone who's a mechanic, and he's looking at the car, and we're popping hoods, I'm doing other things he asked and so forth. And it's kind of funny because, you know, the world has turned, and now you do like video consultant doctor visits. I'm doing video consultant car diagnosis. It's hilarious. But he tells me, based off his expert opinion and from what he can see via my phone interview, should I say conversation, is that it's probably going to cost me $7 to $9 grand to fix this truck to where he believes it will work with no problems, no issues. I strongly debate buying this thing. I'm not going to lie to you. I even come with a proposal saying, hey, if you knock $7,500 off your asking price, I will buy it. Now, I'm sure some of you are like, why in the would you do that? And I would tell you why. Because even their asking price for the autobiography, it was under the value of the truck. It was low. It was like borderline right where the value should be. They've had this truck over a year, almost a year, 248 days or something like that. So it's closing in on a year. So my thing is, I'm sure a couple other people came and looked at when it was priced at $5-6 grand more, and the used car manager told me no, he'll knock $5, that's the best he can do. I said, well, I can just tell you right now, me diving into this problem for $5,000 off what you're already asking for, it's not going to happen. What's funny about this is I could buy the truck, dump the $7,500 into it. Even if it didn't fix the truck would be in a better position than when I bought it. The negative equity of the Corvette would have been gone, and at worst case scenario, as long as no lights was on, I could take this thing into a CarMax or another dealer spot and trade it in and wash my hands of it, and maybe end up spending like $1,000, $2 grand to get out the car. So that was how I looked at it. At worst case scenario, this car could be the answer to my problems just because I can wash it off on a sale within 3 months, and it would have been cheaper than me trying to pay the negative equity out of my car. Well, ultimately what ended up happening in this situation is that he told me no, I left. He reached back out to me 3 weeks later asking was I still want to do that deal. I told him now, drop it another $1,500. We went back and forth, and right when we agreed upon an additional $1,000, somebody stepped up and bought the car for $2,000 more than I was willing to pay for it, or than what we were going to agree upon. So they sold it to that person. The car goes off the market for about 3 weeks. It pops back up on the market. The next location did a coolant flush, replaced a temp sensor and something else. Ultimately, a couple small items and so forth because they thought that was going to fix the problem. I went to go look at it. Car overheats 5 blocks into a test drive. You get just over half a mile and the car starts to overheat. It won't move. We had to creep it back to the dealership. They're now selling this car dirt cheap. They're just trying to get out of a situation because they don't want to dump $8-9 grand to the car based on what they paid for. They're saying they'll never recoup their money, and that's the problem when you get a car like this. Is it's not so much can you fix it. It comes down to who is going to put the money into it, or is it going to keep bouncing from dealership to dealership to dealership while they all throw a little money at it to get it better than where it was when they bought it. But ultimately, it's probably going to take 6 or 7 different locations owning it for somebody to fully pay for the full $7,000 to $9,000 worth of work to get done. So I don't have that headache, but Going back down the autobiography road and not being able to find an autobiography to take advantage of this luxury, the sound system, and so forth, I find my way stumbling into an SV autobiography. And this car has the performance and the luxury. So I can only tell you what happens next. Lock in. You can't wait to hear this part. ICNV Driver Edition. Go ahead, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Join the ICNV Driver Edition community. We are an interactive community, which means if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms or in the comments below, I will do my best to respond. And if the topic you bring up is interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it. But don't forget, this is also a community of car enthusiasts that love to drive cars to make you turn your head and aren't your everyday people movers. So if you're one of those people, lock in, subscribe, and hang out with your boy. But as always, we were made in his image and given dominion over the world. So we weren't just meant to be. So chase your dreams, build your visions, never ever give up, and embrace your own identity. It is okay to be unique. He's not done with you, and he's definitely not done with me. So stay safe, stay blessed, and I will see you in these streets